Good afternoon, YouTube. Today I'm going to try my best to make a very quick summarization of how Nenshi behaves on council and how I felt he conducted himself as mayor of the city of Calgary. First of all, I would like to say very clearly, very bluntly, Nenshi is the worst mayor that Calgary has ever had. The reason is that he actually thwarted any logical debate amongst council whilst he was mayor the entire time. And the way he does it is very incendiary behavior. Whenever he's faced with a point of opposition, he throws a baby tantrum immediately. So I'll try to put these videos out for you so that you can see. Here's an example with Jeremy Farkas.
I will then ask for that motion. Councillor Farkas.
Thank you, Worship. I have correspondence from the HR leader compensation, which indicates that we are on track for 2.34%, granting that we don't have the final numbers for November and December. If we have the final number for what the pay adjustment is for council, either up or down, I'm happy to retract my statement.
Thank you. I believe that we heard during the debate, and in fact it was a critical moment in the debate, from Ms. Mayle that her figures are minus 0.2%, and she expects that to be close to the final.
If that is, in fact, the final number, I am prepared to retract my statement. Otherwise, I'll rely on the information I gave.
That's not good enough. That information is dated November 21st. You had information today, December the 17th. A full month later, and frankly, to rely on the old information when you know, as it says in the Code of Conduct, as any reasonable Calgarian would, that there is newer information is dishonest and irresponsible. So I'll ask for that retraction right now without the F and with an apology.
The number we heard today was conjecture. I have to rely on...
Yeah, that is not in fact true. So you're not apologizing. So in that case, I will in fact accept that motion. Councillor Collier-Cart. Thank you. The motion is to remove Councillor Farkas from this meeting for the balance of this meeting. No, that'll take forever. Okay, all right. So it's to remove Councillor Farkas from this meeting until the member makes an apology acceptable to the meeting, not acceptable to the chair. That's very clear in the procedure bylaw that it is the meeting that gets to do that. So we're going to vote on that now.
So I just wanted to quickly point out a few things. Number one, Nenshi insulted him. That's a point of order. Nenshi insulted Farkas. And the point of order will come in the fact that he said, as any reasonable Calgarian would, meaning that he's insulting Farkas and saying that he's not a reasonable Calgarian and condescending to him for using the information which Farkas later proved that was true information. This was about a pay increase or something like that. I couldn't remember the exact circumstance. Doesn't matter. When Nenshi comes after Farkas, a point of order should have been made when he made that comment. It never was. And then when Farkas refused to concede that the numbers that council had were not precise, then Nenshi voted to get him ejected from the meeting and then spoke as though it's not the chair who's insulted, but he insulted the integrity of the meeting. So why is it that the chair is calling for the vote to get the council member ejected? You see, Nenshi believes himself to be the meeting. That's how much arrogance that he has. He thinks that he can speak on behalf of all the other members. And I'm thinking that this is a regular thing because none of the other council members voted in opposition. So in a sense, you get a sense of fear and panic in the room. And Farkas is already quiet. And he should have backed down, but you can see that Nenshi is intimidating everybody in the room. Okay, here's another one.
And I know that you can't get...
Point of order, Your Worship. Why did we randomly pick one person to come and give us the pros of hosting the games when every other member of the public was not given an opportunity?
If there are
not
other
at all
mem-
balanced.
if there are other members of the advisory panel, like Ms. Moran here, who would like to speak, that would be fine. This is not a random member.
This is very cherry-picked. It is not at all fair discussion.
So with all due respect, Councillor Farkas, if I can interrupt here, I am still an advisor to the city on finance, and I chaired the finance portion of CBEC, which is why I thought it was brought down here to answer questions on that specifically.
And you didn't object at the time. So I hear you, Councillor Farkas. It hurts when you don't get what you want, but this is, I think, a fair process to actually get the facts.
Okay. So I want to point out there very quickly, it hurts when you don't get what you want. What Farkas is asking for is transparency and responsibility from council. Open the doors for a referendum so that the public can engage on the discussion on this Olympic bid, and at least have a referendum to figure out whether or not Calgary wants it. It hurts when you don't get what you want. You can see how condescending the guy is. He's throwing already a baby tantrum over, again, the facts and the truth are, or the integrity of the conversation, or what Farkas was trying to accomplish for Calgarians is irrelevant.
Point of order, Your Worship. Point of order. Point of order.
Yeah.
Once again, Your Worship, and we have to make this completely clear. When we hear comments like that, it fuels the fire. And I understand what you're saying, but the issue is you should rule on the point of order and say he's a member of CBEC, he's a member advisory to the city, he is not a member of the public.
Which I did say.
Yes, then you added your little thing at the end.
Fair enough.
That has to stop, Your Worship,
All right,
because
fair
it just
enough.
continues.
Fair.
Okay, so there's another instance where the mayor essentially, his condescension is a baby tantrum, okay? The content of whatever they're discussing doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So that's very counterproductive when you're trying to have a debate about an issue. So here's another one.
This is a political question for you to decide. I mean, when you first raised the issue of the plebiscite, you said you wanted to hear from the public. You're now saying you didn't want to hear from the public. You were just hoping they would say no. So, I mean, it's up to you, depending on what you want to do. I find the whole conversation extremely odd.
Yes, it is. And then you put words in my mouth again. I never said I don't want to hear from public. You just saw that. I was only councillor voting yes.
You literally,
And then-
under 1 minute ago, you literally said,
And
I just want to kill this, and that's the only reason I want
You know what? Thank you very much for your answer in the future. Maybe I shouldn't ask you. Thank you. I know.
I'm sorry that the answer wasn't Councillor Chu. You're
and
amazing.
I'm not going to ask you
I'm
again.
actually answering your question.
Okay,
so
thank you.
If you ask, you get an answer.
And I already told
I
you,
apologize
Mike.
if you don't actually understand what you're doing.
Yes, and I said that I made a mistake. No more.
Point
Thank
of
you
order,
very
Your
much.
Worship. I think that was inappropriate. Point of order, that was inappropriate, Your Worship. If any of us would have said that, you would have asked us to retract.
Fair enough. Well
Thank
done.
you.
I apologize for that. Go ahead.
Okay, so you see how incendiary the conversation is, eh? Nothing can be achieved when you have a baby tantrum for a mayor. Now, part of the problem is that many of the councillors that know Nenshi already, and you might say it's the something about people that they don't want to be involved in argumenting constantly. Nenshi's the opposite. Nenshi lives for argumenting every minute, every moment. There isn't a moment when the guy is not being incendiary in some condescending way. Here's another
especially
moment.
for Mayor Nenshi and Councillor Sean Chu.
But I asked the question, the clerk, you don't have to be so bitchy. I'm sorry to say that. Right?
Well,
Stop
Councillor
being
Chu,
bitchy.
Councillor Chu, to be quite frank with you,
Now listen to his
Councillor
response.
Chu, to be
You're
quite
going to get
frank with
kicked
you,
out. You're going to kick you out.
See?
Yeah,
You're going to
not
kick me
allowed
out.
to do
You're going
that.
to kick me
Councillor
out.
Chu,
Okay,
to be-
immediately on a point of procedure, Councillor, you need to withdraw that unparliamentary language.
Thank you.
And apologize.
Thank you. Or I'll have to ask you to have you removed. Sir?
Go ahead.
Okay. Are you going to withdraw that comment? Because you can't insult other members of council. All right, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave. No, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, Councillor Chu, and you have to sit down. You don't
You
make
have
the
to.
rules
You
here,
have to.
sir.
You have to.
I'm waiting for answer.
No, you're not, because that was you
Well,
are
you can
actually, you have a point of privilege called against you, sir, and you have to respond to the point of privilege. Again, the rules don't change. So you either have to withdraw your comment or you have to leave. Those are your choices.
But that's not swearing.
No, it's insulting, sir.
Okay,
And you're not
so,
allowed to
okay.
insult others.
You're
You're not allowed to
Okay.
insult others.
That is.
What of his insulting? What about this guy? The way that Nenshi was working, every time that he speaks, everybody has to be silent. That's what he wants. So that when he has a proposal, he runs unopposed every time. So in a sense, you can never accomplish anything except what this guy tells you to do. You hear about how he speaks to Chu. There's no respect. There's no respect for Chu. You hear what you have to. Here are your options, sir, and you have to do this, sir, and you have to do that, sir. This is an elected member. How can he even speak in that way without being called out on a point of order and bad behavior every time? It's pathetic. So I guess I'll conclude with that point there, because the video, I'm worried that it will get a little bit too long. But at the same time, you have to consider what an absolute train wreck that this guy is in literally every way, in every aspect. Since he got in power, there's been nothing but more city transit and only projects that he himself approves personally. That's why he comes out for the purple line and all that stuff. How can anything of worth actually be generated that way? It's not a debate. This is not a city council. This is just a bunch of, you might say, beta people answering up to the alpha. And really, the mayor is but one voice, or he should be. And this is not a balanced structure of power. This is everybody answering up to the mayor, and the mayor condescending to every single member of council. And actually, it's a very cutthroat, uncivilized way to do dialogue, and yet he gets away with it every time. Nobody's going to call him out on all the insulting and whatnot. Certainly when he was fighting with Chu, nobody called out Nenshi for his comment until afterward. And you hear Chu, Chu is actually afraid of him already. I might say, oh, he's going to kick you out. He's going to kick you out. So you can see already that Nenshi has like everybody under the barrel of a gun, so to speak, except maybe those that support him. But I don't know if they support him because they like his policy or out of fear, not wanting to get in an argument with him. This is a different kind of person. This is a very unstable, unbalanced individual. And you can see the way that he answers every question is as if he looks down on you. He's nobody. He's a city mayor. It's not even a big city. It's just one city in Canada. Who are you to say that you have a huge ego that you can be ahead of any elected member of city council? You're nobody. Just another voice, or at least that's the way it should be. But because of his incendiary talking, every time he's talking, it's like he wants to throw down. Essentially, it's really not that he will fight. I'm sure he's a terrible fighter. But anyhow, the way that he does battle is all in fighting you personally in your dialogue. Very condescending, very, very, very condescending. How can a baby tantrum guy like that be the mayor of Calgary? I ask the question to you. Please respond in the comment section. I hope I can reach out to Calgarians, because that was my hope in this video. But really, he's a cautionary tale for any city in Canada that elected a mayor like that. Be careful. Be careful. He was very charismatic and whatnot to get the vote. Like very charismatic. He I think he piggybacked on identity politics and LGBTQ community support. and amongst other people. There are lots of elderly people that voted for him. Is incredible. But I get the sense that if the public was aware of how he misbehaved in council, that he could not be elected again. Because how the hell can you accomplish anything of worth? I put the question to you. How? If this guy is going to shut down debate before it even happens and then personally insult the council members, what do you hope to achieve? Calgary is in absolute state of chaos. There's no better way to put it. This guy is solely responsible for the terrible situation that we're in. This guy committed many crimes against his city. Anybody that looked at the way he treated his job as a public servant is not a public servant at all. He's a dictator, a totalitarian in the flesh, absolutely morally absent. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe this video if you found the content helpful, and please comment below. I look forward to reading it. Thank you.